Welcome to Restorative Yoga tonight. Take a comfortable seat, close your eyes. I want you to, first of all, appreciate your own spirit and self for getting you to the mat tonight. I so appreciate you joining me. Tonight is going to be ultra restorative, super peaceful. We're taking the mind on a fabulous journey, and gosh, I hope by the time you're out of Shavasana, you might just want to stay there. Take a deep inhale through the nose. Super loud exhale through the mouth. Let the shoulders soften. Let the muscles in the face also soften. Another strong inhale. And a loud exhale. When you're ready, inhale the arms up above you, bringing the palms together, and then exhaling them to your heart in prayer pose. We're going to pause right here to set a fabulous intention for your practice and for the rest of the evening. And when you're ready, release your hands. So if you do have a yoga blanket, or any blanket I should have said, go ahead and fold it into a long noodle. And then I'm just going to take the middle of it and bring it around behind me. Just tossing the ends right over my legs. And then I'm giving the blanket kind of a good tug because I want to take the ends and wrap them tightly underneath my knees. And that way, it kind of feels like the back is supported. And if it doesn't feel that way, it feels too loose, grab that blanket, pull it a little tighter, and really give it a good tug. There. So I feel like right now that I'm leaning against a wall. I'm hoping your blanket is that supportive to you tonight. And then just close your eyes again. So we're starting out this evening with some pranayama, some breath control. And the numbers we're going to follow are 5, 4, 6. But if you've taken my classes before, you know that the numbers really don't mean all that much. You can change what you need to. I know we're all counting at a different pace, and that is totally fine because that's exactly what you need for your breath tonight. What we're going to do is completely empty the lungs. Slow inhale, fill up the lungs to the count of 5. Hold the breath for 4. Exhale completely for 6. Okay, so empty out the lungs. I'll talk you through the first one. Inhale to the count of 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold the breath. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that might have been too fast for you. So now I want you to make the adjustments you need. And I set you free with your breath for a moment as you explore using breath retention. Let's do 2 more cycles of that. And when you finish that last exhale, just let the breath return to whatever it needs to be. And then turn the hands over so the palms are down on the knees. From here, we're just going to find a flow. And so maybe you sweep forward. You might go all the way around, or maybe you change directions. Completely up to you. Don't worry about that blanket. It'll help support you as you come back around. So John Muir wrote, "Into the forest I go to lose my mind and find my soul." And that's kind of a segue into where we're taking our mind a little bit later. Go around a couple more times, loosening up the spine. Perfect. So from here, I'm going to leave my right hand on my right knee. I'm going to take my left hand kind of off behind me. Sit up nice and tall. Turn your heart to the left knee, and then come on down into a fold. So with my right hand, I'm just gently pushing against my leg. I can feel my hip opening up a little bit more. Keep the heart in the direction of the left thigh. Just inhale and sit up straight. Exhale, come back down. Stay right here. On your next inhale, come back up. I'm still going to keep my heart facing the left thigh. Last one. Exhale your way down. Good. And then slowly inhale your way back up. Turn the heart to center. Left hand to the left knee. Right hand behind you. Inhale, sit up tall. Turn the heart to the right leg and slowly make your way down. And remember, your fold is your fold. It doesn't have to come all the way down to the leg. Left hand's gently pushing against the left leg or knee. When you get to an inhale, come back up, keep the heart facing the right leg. Exhale, melt your way back down. Good job. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, come back down into that fold. And then on your inhale, come on back up. We're going to move that blanket aside. We're going to take the legs into cobbler, Baddha Konasana, so the soles of the feet together, knees wide. But then I want you to take your hands behind you just to support the upper body, because I want you to be able to lift the knees up a little bit and then bring them back down. So we're lifting incrementally. Let's just say section it off into fours. So lifting 1, 2, 3, 4. And the knees aren't going to come all the way together because the soles of the feet are stuck together. And then go back down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and back down. Perfect. Now bring your weight back forward. So grab onto the feet with your hands, sit up nice and tall, and just close your eyes for a moment. So I wanted to share with you that I was listening to a fabulous speaker. His name is Todd Fink, and he was talking about solitude, which is what we're all facing right now. But what he said about it is you can look at solitude in two different ways. If you go into solitude feeling like it's a punishment, you're going to experience pain. If you go into solitude voluntarily, you will then have this plethora of benefits that come your way. Your relationships improve. It just goes on and on. But I just thought that was such an interesting way to word it. And he said, instead of feeling like you're imprisoned, which leads to pain, why not feel like for the moment we're in a worldwide silent meditation retreat? And that was eye-opening for me, because I was thinking, yes, I would go right now to a silent meditation retreat. That would be great. Heck, we are in one. And so I thought that was a great way to kind of, get a different perception on where we find ourselves and how we can give the mind just a little tweak. So we're looking at this differently to our benefit. Go ahead, open your eyes. What I want you to do is, wherever your feet are, let them slide forward about half of your foot length. So I'm going to bring my hands down in front of my legs. And as I lower my heart down, I'm going to turn my palms upward and just let them slide underneath my ankles. So they're supporting both ankles. So if this is already not working for you, grab the ankles from the top, right? So if you've got the ankles either way, we're lengthening the spine, crown of the head reaching probably for where your wall and ceiling are meeting, and then slowly hinging down into a fold. You stop wherever you need to. If you're happy staying still, just stay right there. If you prefer to create more of a vinyasa, each inhale you would lift up however high you want to come. Exhale, deepen back down. And then we're coming all the way back up. Slide the hands out from under the ankles, stretch out the legs, flex the feet. I want you to take the hands outside of the thighs. And so as we come into a fold, which actually we're really not going to go too far, as we come down, your hands are pushing your legs together. So I'll start up high. I'm going to slide down as I come a little lower. Do not push on the outside of the knees. Skip the knees. Gently pushing. Come all the way down to above the ankles. And then we slide our way back up. Yeah, so the work's on going down when you're ready. So this idea of solitude has to do with, it's not even your mind. It is going so far deep within you to, you might call it your soul, you might call it your spirit, whatever word you use for that essence of you that cannot be labeled, that lives on no matter what. You have to go that deep. And I was kind of thinking about this earlier. He brought up this other idea of doing. Like, for instance, are you actually doing yoga right now? Well, yoga is a practice, so I wouldn't say we're doing yoga. Are we doing anything? He went off on a great tangent about that. You should totally look him up if you are interested. But I was thinking about this earlier. This is our last time coming back down the legs. My son and I were doing planks, and some days plank is super, super hard, and however long you hold it for seems like days. And then you have other days where, okay, that kind of went faster than normal, right? And I thought, as you come back up, sorry, I don't mean to leave you hanging, inhale the arms, and then this time come all the way into that fold and close your eyes. I was thinking as we lifted into our first plank, what if I were to focus on this idea of solitude and go so far deep within myself that I don't really realize that my body is struggling to hold a plank. In fact, the more I thought about it, I wasn't doing a plank. My muscles were attempting to do plank and hold it. Me, the essence of me, was somewhere else. And so kind of a cool concept, I think. And that's why we're going to take the mind somewhere else. Actually, not too far off into the future here. We've got a lot of restorative poses to do. So having said that, slowly make your way back up. We're going to open the right leg off about 45 degrees. Pull that left foot in. I'm going to give you a couple of variations here. If you have a strap or a belt or, the tie to a robe or something like that, go ahead and grab it. If you don't have one, you aren't going to need it. Just trying to make this more interesting. If you have a strap, go ahead and put it around the top of the left foot. And then, oops, sorry, I didn't mute my phone. That's not good. And then pull that strap over the right thigh. Again, if you don't have a strap, don't worry about it. Not a problem. Left hand is coming around behind you. So I'm going to feed that hand the strap. So some of you might need that right hand to reach a little farther behind, which is totally fine. Do not push your shoulder to come too far around. No pain in yoga. Some of you, your shoulders might be loose enough that you can get the left fingers to come around and grab onto the right hip, so you don't need the strap anyway. And if none of that applies, heck, you can just keep that left hand on the left knee and make this super simple. All right, so having said all that, we'll set the right hand on the right leg. Sit up tall, and as you exhale, just slide your way into a side bend over that right leg. Close your eyes. One more breath. And then slowly come back up. Perfect. So if you're using the strap, you're going to pick up this foot. If you don't have a strap, you're literally going to pick up that foot. As I do so, I'm sliding the right leg forward. I'm just going to set this left foot on top of my right thigh. From here, and I'm just dropping the strap, left hand to the outside of the right shin. Right hand behind you. Flex the front foot. Sit up nice and tall, and then the left hand's going to push into the right leg to help you take your twist. Focus on the breath. Good job. When you get to an exhale, peacefully release the twist. Slide the strap off the left foot if you were using it. Open that left leg off to the side and pull the right foot in. So again, if you have the strap, it goes around the top of the right foot. Your left hand will feed the strap to your right hand. If you don't have a strap, you can either get the right hand to come around and grab on top of the thigh or leave it on the right knee. Either way, inhale, sit up nice and tall. Exhale, slide into a side bend over that left leg. Couple more breaths. When you get to an inhale, make your way back up, either picking up the straps or the foot literally. Set that right foot up on top of the left leg. Right hand to the outside of the left shin. Left hand behind you. Always sit up first before you take a twist, and always twist on an exhale. Good job. One more deep breath. When you get to your next exhale, release the twist. Release that strap in the top foot. We'll set the strap aside. We're actually done with it. Almost in your restorative poses, I promise. But first, can you pop on over into table? We're getting all the movement out of the way before you just veg out. Tuck the toes behind you. Inhale, cow, sink the belly, lift everything else. Exhale, round it into cat, drop the head. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. Keep the arch in the low back. Slowly lift into downward facing dog. We're going to walk it out right here, bending one knee, then the other. We're not staying here long. Let's take one more breath. And then we'll bring the knees back down to the earth and table. I'm going to move my right hand more centered underneath me so that the left hand can just slowly reach up for the ceiling. Your palm is facing the way you're looking. Yes, I said that right. They both are facing in the same direction. Breathe. And then exhale, let that left hand come down. It'll switch places with the right hand. Inhale the right arm up. Nice deep breath. And then slowly bring the right hand back down. Perfect. We're coming into quarter dog. So right forearm goes across the mat in front of you. My hips are going to stay above my knees. My left hand is reaching out in front of me. And then I'll just soften my forehead down to rest on that right arm. So my left arm is pretty active. I spread my fingers wide. I'm gripping, well, right now I'm gripping the carpet, but you might be on top of your mat still. And so by lifting that left wrist a little bit, you'll get a good stretch going down the left side of the body. Strong inhale. Cleansing exhale. We're going to slowly slide the left hand in. Gently push your way back up. And we'll switch quarter dog to the other side. So come on down onto your left forearm. Right arm reaching out in front of you. Let the fingers walk away from you as you set your head down on your left arm. And then deep inhale through the nose, loud exhale through the mouth. Slide the right hand in, gently push your way up, and then we're going to sit back down on the mat for a moment. We need some things. So if you have a bolster, that would be my first choice. If you don't have a bolster, a pillow would be good. You could use a block initially, and we could switch to 2 blocks as we progress. Cushion off the back of your couch, whatever you got is good. I do want something kind of substantial to start with. We're coming into supported bridge first. Any issues with blood pressure, you really need to be careful about your head being upside down. So my intention is for us to be in this pose for 5 minutes as we kind of set the scene for our guided meditation and our journey. So when you're ready, coming on back, you're going to get the hips up on whatever prop you chose. We'll set the feet down on the mat, knees are bent. Now, if you would like something under your head, you can totally add it. It shouldn't be a problem in this pose. Maybe you have a block or you have a pillow. If you don't like that, once you get it there, get rid of it, because I really want you to be super comfortable. Perfect. You have a couple options here. You could either take the feet wide and drop the knees in towards each other so they're holding each other up, or if you want to, you could straighten out both legs. We'll still be in our supported back bend. If you feel like you can keep the legs in bridge without working, then you can leave them like that. All right, once you get there, close your eyes. And into the forest I go to lose my mind and find my soul. So with the meditation that we're going to do tonight, it is my intention to hopefully help you do just that. By going into this forest that we're going to create together, I'm hoping that you are able to connect with that inner you that we were talking about. The one that you can't explain to anybody else, right? Because if I asked you who you are, you're going to tell me labels. And truly, I know that is not who you really are. It's not your Atman, your true self. So I'm hoping that's who you come into contact with. Take a deep breath in and let it go. I want to kind of describe to you the way I am picturing this forest journey. You're going to add in a lot of things along the way. I'll be guiding you, but I kind of want you to see the layout as I'm perceiving it. And so I am seeing an entrance to a forest, and our forest is going to go off on a path that takes us in a big circle. The path will go off to the right, it will circle directly across from the entrance, and we'll come all the way back around. The exit will be the entrance, right? As we progress along that path, our forest is going to change. And each time the forest changes, we will change the restorative pose that we're in. So see yourself standing at the entrance of this forest. I like to imagine that before I step into the forest, I'm standing in direct sunlight. It's bright. I feel warm. If I look around in the sunlight, everything that I see, like leaves and grasses, the green is bright. But as you peer into the forest, I want you to notice how dark it is. Go ahead and take that step in the entrance. I want you to immediately notice the temperature change. You're not cold, it's just much cooler. And there's this umbrella of branches and leaves above you that are keeping you shaded, almost cocooned. I want you to notice that it does feel very homey and protected here, just like a cocoon would be. Because it's so shady, the greens are different. I want you to notice that No longer do you see really bright greens reflecting light off of them. What you see more is like a deep hunter green, something really dark, olives, forest greens. And I also want you to notice it seems a little damp. You're not uncomfortable with it being damp, you're just noticing it because dampness has a smell to it. It has this very earthy smell, and I want you to take that in because I really want you to feel connected to the forest, connected to the trees, and connected to the earth. In addition to the earthiness that you smell, can you smell the pine trees? And as you look around and you take a few steps farther into the forest, I want you to notice how many branches from the trees are bending down as though to greet you. Like you could reach out and touch some of the branches, the thinner ones, the twigs perhaps. I want you to notice moss because of the dampness. And what color green does that appear to you? And walking in a little bit farther, I want you to be really quiet. What do you hear? Can you hear the insects, the crickets? Can you hear the scampering of chipmunks and squirrels? What else do you hear? Go ahead and explore in this area, this entranceway of the forest. What I'm really hoping that you take away from this section of our forest is this feeling of being protected, this feeling of kinship with the earth. And then the word I really hope you're feeling is how sacred this space is. Albert Einstein wrote, "Look deep into nature, and then you will understand everything better." We're making a super subtle transition from the pose we're in because I want you to maintain as much stillness as you can. All we're going to do is lift the hips up just a little. Whatever prop it is you have underneath your sacrum, push it towards your heels so you can get it underneath your knees. We're just stretching the legs out over whatever props you have. If there's a different prop near you that you think would be better, go ahead and grab it. Again, if you want a pillow for underneath the head, you can add that as well. And just kind of settling into that pose for a moment. We're going to follow this path we're on. It's going to go off to the right. And the thing I want you to notice most is that as we go down the path, it becomes slightly lighter, as though the umbrella of leaves and branches above us thins out just a little. And so the farther you go off to the right, the better you can see. I want you to notice how the greens are changing again. So instead of being like a deep hunter green, perhaps you're noticing, no, things look more like a light emerald or a Kelly green. They're different. I just want you to notice they're different. So with the added light, I want you to feel how this part of the forest comes alive. I want you to focus on the animals that you hear, that you see. You can bring in any animal you'd like to. This is your vision, your forest. As part of this section of the forest, I also want you to touch things. So if you are envisioning an animal that comes up to you, go ahead and reach out and touch it. Maybe it's the softness of a deer. Maybe a bird is allowing you to feel its feathers, whatever it is. And then look around you. I want you to look at the trees specifically. I want you to walk over to the one that you feel drawn to. And when you get in front of it, I want you to place your hands on the tree trunk. And I want you to notice if the bark of your tree feels rough and textured, or is it smooth? Does it have knots in it that your fingers run across? As you allow your hands to explore the feeling of this tree, I want you to let them run into some of the sap of the tree. So now there's a little bit of stickiness. And perhaps you can smell the sap. Remember when we first walked in, I said, notice how some of the branches reach down towards you, almost intentionally, as though they were waiting for you, inviting you into their home. I want you to notice that your tree also has some thinner branches that are just dangling down in your direction. I want you to notice that those branches have beautiful leaves on them. And you reach a hand out and you touch one of the leaves. Can you feel the veins of the leaf between your fingers? And isn't it kind of cool if the self that you see in the forest were to close your eyes? That leaf that you're holding can be any color you so choose. What color would you pick? Just beyond your tree is a beautiful array of wildflowers. I want you to go over and check them out. What are their colors? What do they smell like? Are they tall? Are they hovering near the earth? And again, the word that I want you to be focused on as you explore these beautiful flowers and you reach out and touch them and you feel the velvety petals, the word is sacred. I also want you to notice, do you feel kind of rushed, like you just want to head off and explore everything? Or are you feeling the gentle, slow rhythm of the forest? Can you feel its earthy, heavy vibration? Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote, "Adopt the pace of nature. Her secret is patience." So as consciously patient as possible, we're going to make another really subtle transition on the mat because I don't want to disturb your peace. All you're going to do is take the left leg into supine tree. Supine just means you're laying down. So I'm going to go ahead and bring the left foot up against my right knee. Let the leg rest on the bolster. If you're using a different prop and that left knee is falling off into space, I want you to grab something else nearby, maybe a block or a book, and prop it up. If you feel like you want to change up where the arms are, you can do that. And then go back to where you were, where we left off in the forest. I want you to continue on that circular path. Notice anything you might see in front of your feet as you walk. Are you walking on bare earth? Are you walking on twigs, branches, acorns, leaves? If so, can you hear that crunch underneath your feet? Are there any animals walking along with you? So as you come around to what would be the opposite space across from the entrance of that forest, our half circle point, if you will, here the sun is super bright. The branches and leaves are much more sparse. And there is this fabulous movement of light coming through the branches and leaves. It's dancing on the ground in front of you. And I really want you to watch it for a moment. Allow it to take you away to some other place. And then looking around, I want you to notice how much more you can see in detail because the sun is so bright. I want you to notice that in this forest, the ground is uneven. You might be able to see knobby roots of trees coming up out of the ground and then disappearing and then reemerging somewhere else. You possibly hear the birds singing above you. The word that I'm coming up with in my mind as I see this forest spreading out before me is lush. And I want you to bring in a fabulous breeze so that you can hear it moving through the trees. You might appreciate feeling that breeze on your skin. And then also noticing, because the light has changed again, how many greens you're surrounded by. Perhaps you see chartreuse, which is a yellow green, or maybe you see lime greens or olive greens, or maybe these greens are mixing in with some blue hues and you're seeing teals, whatever it is. Just appreciating each little change, each detail. As you walk around this portion of the forest to explore, this is the section I'm calling sun dripped. I can feel the sun, I can see it. It is nurturing. And again, I really want you to feel in your heart center that connection, that kinship with the earth, the trees, the animals. You might see yourself reaching down to pick up some of the dirt. Rub it in your hands. Whatever you're noticing, can you tie in that word sacred? And as you enjoy and explore this part of the forest, will you slowly straighten out that left leg and bring the right leg into a supine tree pose? Remember to add a prop under the right knee if you need it. Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote that nature always wears the colors of the spirit. So I'm wondering what colors you're seeing. Look around here another minute. Who knows what you might find? Remember, you're allowed to touch. You can turn over rocks. You might find a bench to sit on. And then if you're ready, we're going to continue on that path. It's going to curve around to the left. What I really want you to notice is that the more you walk, how we lose the light. Almost as though we were walking from broad daylight slowly into dusk. Getting back kind of to a place that's a little more shady, perhaps. Remember, we said the ground is uneven, so watch where you're walking. As you make it to this new spot of the forest, with it being darker, I want you to notice that your ears can hear better. We're not so distracted by all the beautiful colors from the last section of the forest. We can hear so much, and I want you to explore that. Take a moment to really focus in on what you hear. And while you're thinking about that, I want you to go ahead and straighten out that right leg. I want you to feel around for your blanket. If you didn't have one, that's okay. You don't need it. But if you have one, we're going to add it. I know we ended up with it in a long noodle, and I'm just kind of folding mine up in a not so pretty way. I'm going to set my feet up on top of the bolster. And then draw the knees into the heart. And if you want to hug them in for a moment, go ahead. We're going to drop the knees to the left. If you need a prop underneath them to catch them, add that. I was intending on using the blanket, the gentle weight of it, to rest right up on top of the right hip. Just feels kind of peaceful. And right now, we're talking about being in such an earthy place. I want to be as close to the ground here as I can. You can do whatever you want to with your arms. And when you're ready and the eyes are closed again, I want to kind of describe to you what this part of the forest feels like to me. It feels undisturbed. It has a somber quality to it, probably because we've lost most of the sunlight. It feels primitive. And again, I come back to that word, sacred. What are you surrounded by in this part of the forest? In other words, you might be able to tap into feeling like you're surrounded by old spirits or ancestors, or maybe you really resonate with animals and they've come to sit with you in this part of the forest. This is a beautiful, quiet space. And as you are able to focus on the sounds that you hear, it might be the birds again, it might be scampering of animals, it might be branches creaking. Allow each sound to not be a distraction, but to actually take you deeper inside. Can you find that space inside of you that feels vast and unattached to the external? Can you feel happy with the word solitude? You know, a couple of the words I used were primitive and wild. What about your spirit feels primitive and wild? Maxime Lagasse wrote, "By discovering nature, you discover yourself." What is it you are discovering about that self? want you to try to keep your eyes closed as we transition this pose to the other side. So if you do have a prop underneath the bottom leg, you might slide it out and move it to the right. If you have that blanket resting up on your hip, just pick it up, pull the knees slowly through center, take them all the way to the right side, and then rebalance your blanket up on top of that left hip. Remember, the arms, the head, you can put them wherever feels most comfortable to you. The discovery that we're doing in the forest is also a discovery on the mat, right? As you look around you, isn't it intriguing how every one of us listening and following this meditation right now are picturing something different? We're all in a dark forest. We're all feeling the earthiness of it, but there's something different for each of us. Paulo Coelho wrote, "In a forest of 100,000 trees, no two leaves are alike, and no two journeys along the same path are alike." Being a non-believer in, coincidences, there's a reason you're listening to this guided meditation. What did you come on this journey to discover? And what are you going to walk away with? So when you're ready, we continue on that path. It's circling us back to where we started, to that shady entrance that we entered into. Just slowly find your way there, each footstep consciously placed, observing, listening, taking in details. When you get back to that entranceway that we stepped through, I want you just to pause right there. And so we find ourselves back where we started. Our journey has come full circle. And we find that although we had many experiences along the way, we come back to a self that we never left. We come back to a self that we never left. That's that energy, that spirit, that soul, that Atman that I was trying to explain before, that I think we all have a different word for. That's the part of you I want you strongly connected to as you step back out of the forest. So again, if you can keep your eyes closed to maintain your stillness and peace that you've created, just go ahead and move that blanket off of your top hip. Slowly bring the knees to center. And go ahead and stretch the legs out on the mat. You probably have a prop there waiting to catch your legs. If you want to use that blanket now to cover up with, or you want it to be a pillow, this would be the time to make that adjustment. And then just settling into Shavasana for a few more minutes. Maybe it's to kind of focus on what you discovered in the forest without really focusing on it. I want you to stay in that space where solitude exists with just your inner being. And to bring your focus to your breath. Give the breath some room to expand and deepen. And then very slowly, with the eyes closed, hug one knee in towards the heart and then add the other one. And you might rock this out a little bit, side to side. And then when you're ready, tip all the way over onto one side in a fetal position. And then very slowly, push your way back up into Sukhasana, easy pose, or something similar. I thought since I had you still for so long, we'd add a little movement onto the tail end, and I do mean just a little. So go ahead and bring the shoulders up to the ears. Hold it. Keep breathing. When you get to an exhale, take the shoulders back and down. We're going to drop the right ear to the right shoulder. Slowly bring the head to center. Exhale to the other side. On an inhale, bring the head back up. And then drop the chin down toward the collarbone. Make sure the shoulders don't round forward with you. So keeping my head dropped as low as I can, I'm now going to drop the right ear toward the right shoulder. Not going to go very far, but you should feel a stretch down the back of the left side of the neck. And then I'll slowly roll the head to center, keeping the chin tucked. And I'm going to take the left ear over towards the left shoulder. And then roll the head back to center, chin is still down. And then slowly lift the head back up. Left hand is going to drop to the earth beside you. Inhale that right arm up, perhaps the gaze follows. And just take a gentle side bend to the left. Deepen the breath here. So again, you might create this into a very subtle vinyasa. Inhaling, lifting up. Exhaling, floating down. So as I inhale my way back up, I'm going to take that right arm and let it drop down across my heart and just stretch it out. Deep breath in here. Loud exhale. Not really done with this arm yet. Hang on to it. I'm going to take the right arm all the way up. Bend at the elbow. Let the hand drop down behind me. That left hand is going to help you stretch this out. One more breath here. Slowly release the arms. The right fingers will find the ground beside you. Inhale that left arm up. Exhale, side bend to the right. And again, if you kind of like that movement of rising and falling, link it with the breath. Good job. Inhale. Come on up. Drop the left arm across the chest. Draw it in with the right hand. I hope you discovered in the forest that being alone can be adventuresome. It can be soul-seeking. It doesn't have to be on the other spectrum, depressing. It doesn't have to be alone. That solitude voluntarily can be a really cool place to hang out with yourself. Take that left arm up, bend at the elbow. The left hand drops behind you. Right hand is hanging on to help you stretch it out. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, release the arms down. Deep inhale through the nose. Super loud exhale through the mouth. Inhale, both arms up. Bring the palms together and exhale them back home to your heart in prayer pose. The light in me bows to the light in you. And when I'm in that place in me, and you're in that place in you, then we become one. Namaste.